Hello everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and start it up just a few minutes early so we can make sure that the audio is nice and loud for you guys and the music is not too obstructive. So why don't you guys go ahead and let me know how loud it is. You're going to hear a little echo. That the audio is nice and loud for you and the music is not obstructive. So okay, so it seems like volume is at a good point. Let me get my chat popped out. Chat is popped out. All right. So we will do all the introductions right at 2. Sure. All the final details are up to snuff. And it seems like we're at that point. So we'll want to set some timers so we can just keep track. Okay. We got some nice blobs. Get my headset all adjusted. Okay. Very nice, very nice. We are on. Please let me know how loud the volume is. But we are good to go. It is 2 p.m. my time. I believe it's 11 over there in California, early in the morning. My name is William Dylan Domeyer, and I'm the concept artist on Zenith. We had a live stream before where we covered this first page of sketches up here. It was let me grab that down for us. So we got some rocks, some silos, some farm stuff. We went over drone tractor. It was a whole big thing. So there's some super secret stuff for your eyes. We have some other concepts we're working on just to riff off of them so they stay stylistically similar. And let's go ahead and move that away so you guys can't get your peepers all over that quite yet. Let me go ahead and pin our chat so that we can always be seeing what the chat is saying. Nope, that wasn't quite it. So close. Pin this up. Okay. I actually sculpt stuff in VR a lot of the time. It's really nice. It's such a powerful tool. But this is also for the stream so that you guys can see a more interesting thing. Window is stuck to my hand. It doesn't like that. Pardon me for just 1 second. I can't find our little pull-out chat. Pop-out chat. There we go. Coolio. Virtual desktops got me like, what? Alright. Get ours nice and big so I can see what you guys are saying. Right, it goes hand in hand with VR. I don't think anybody pops on a headset and they're just off and running. Okay, here we are. So I think we're gonna just start with a bit of a warm-up. We'll go ahead and turn on our straight line. We got our angle snap on. Go ahead and set that to 15%. And grab a cube. We want a mirror. So let's start with the silos, just because I think it'll be pretty easy. Actually, I guess we're going to need a sphere because the silo's round. We'll just start cranking that out. We might want a bit higher resolution since this is going to be all about this central sphere. And then let's get our move brush all set up. And we're just gonna make sure we're on the same plane with each hand and kind of just push it down. Okay. So, what I normally do is I sometimes even attach the two, but you can really just take the concept sheet, have it right under you, and just kind of like fit it right to. So it's good enough for now. So what we want is probably to grab some kind of mechanical pieces here. So I'm using a Oculus Rift, just the classic Rift, with 3 sensors currently. And I'm using Oculus Medium, which conveniently comes with the Rift when you buy it. It's not included with the Quest currently, but with Steam Link, I do believe you can play Oculus Medium with a Quest. So it's become a very versatile app. And between Oculus Medium and Gravity Sketch, I would say those two are the leading creative apps right now in VR. There's also PSVR Dreams, but like I mentioned, PSVR. So not quite on Rift yet, to my knowledge. So let's see, where's our cool. So right now we're adding the grain funnel onto this. We want them to line up a little bit better. We could have set up a grid at the beginning of this, but like the more limitations and hard things you that's bad, huh? More kind of like technical 3D things you apply to it, the less fun it becomes very quickly. So yeah, Oculus Medium really over the radius really lends itself to concepting and sculpting because it's not always the highest resolution results. Not crazy about this. It's not always the highest resolution results, but like goddamn is it tangible. It's just like it feels like you're really there creating this stuff. So I want something a lot more funnel. Oh, it didn't select it. Funnel like. Okay, still weird. But it's going to act as the basis. So what I'm grabbing from is my set of stamps, which is essentially 3D brushes. So these are different 3D shapes that I've created, import, and bought from other people. You have a wide variety of shapes that I can use. So we need to increase the resolution of this layer because it's all wonky. Shapes I can use to create forms and concepts quite quickly. Okay. Not feeling what I really wanted out of this kind of funnel. And to get a cone, I need to get a primitive. I like that one. Just as a disclaimer, it's probably I've spent close to 1,500 hours. No, yeah, 1,500 hours in Oculus Medium at this point. So it feels very natural to me, and I know that a lot of people experience a lot of discomfort at first. My arrow is stuck inside here. Fun. They feel a lot of discomfort at first, mostly due to VR sickness and VR legs. I was very fortunate that I've spent some time on a boat. So real sickness still gets me, but VR sickness doesn't nearly affect me as much. So I think this guy's really just getting in the way is what he's doing. Check the chat. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend Gravity Sketch on the Quest. Gravity Sketch is such a strong program, and speaking of it, they just released sub-D modeling, so with primitives, and you can like modify the vertexes and things like that on the primitives. So it really you can create a lot of amazing things with the Quest. Really, it's really pretty amazing. But I do prefer Oculus Medium because of the voxel-based stuff. It's more like working with clay, and you get a lot more freedom. But the meshes it creates, not as pretty, not as useful on a production side of things. But for concept is concept. It can be a potato, but if that potato looks good, it'll work. Into this a little bit. Okay, we definitely don't want to spend too much time on this guy because this is our warm-up. So let's get to a point where we can kind of start to progress a little quicker. I don't hate that. Nope. Yeah, it's good. Set the base. So that's really low res. So I'm not happy with how gloopy it is. So we're just gonna redo it now that I have the framework, and you can already see it's like crisp. A packet of crisps. So nice. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Kicking myself for not changing the color. Hey, let's just paint this super duper quick. Boop. Oh, no. Boop. Boop. Very cool, very cool. So now we can at least... Oh, it was slightly off. My light, let's move that up because it seems to be creating a bit of glare for me. Yeah, Oculus Medium, very nice. And what I recommend to anybody who is going to get into it, go ahead and the first thing you do is navigate up to your world space. Pop this little baby open. Looks like way too much stuff for the average person. You're just going to take your sun brightness, which will determine the sun on the object. Get that to a comfortable place because that won't hurt your eyes too much. So we can really toggle with that. And then this is another one that affects the model. But when we get down into background color, there it is. So we want that to be really dark. And then I believe I have a lot of fog on. Okay. So here we go. So it really is helpful to, oh, it's the skybox that's on. Of course. It will, it'll make your eyes like a lot less strained, because in the very bright skybox in here can really hurt after a while. You want to darken it down, and then everything is a lot more readable as well. All right, back to sculpting. So we want to flip this around. Type in 180 because we want it to be perfect. And once we got that, slide him back. Okay. And then once I see them together like this, again, not super pleased. So what we're going to do is grab this guy and kind of just pull him a bit. Get to some place that doesn't feel so boring. Okay. And then, of course, some of this stuff gets wonky, so you want to come back here. Just excuse my stream of conscious thinking. This all goes on internally, but since you guys are here, you might as well hear it. So, connect up these cables. Turn off my angle snap. Boom. Okay. Very nice, very nice. I mean, you can see boring, more interesting. Check that chat again. Medium doesn't have like a free version or a trial, but like I said, it is free when you buy an Oculus Rift. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the Rift. Software is very fun to use. I would say anybody can struggle with a mouse and keyboard. I still do. But honestly, it feels very intuitive. It's like instead of keyboard shortcuts and everything, it's just hand gestures, flicks of my thumb, button presses, and like everything is there. So go ahead and hide this, duplicate this, and then we're going to reverse flip this one. Oh, never mind. I guess it was the original. We want it 180. This is probably the least fun part of Medium. Doing very specific and mirrored things, and mirrored in more than one axis. Oh, just seconds. Yeah, the VR is really come a long way. The sculpting aspect of it, and like what you can do on a kind of like a production level, has come just so freaking far in the past few years. Like Oculus Medium started as a very lightweight kind of creative tool that was more for, it kind of lent itself to performance and quick VR iteration, but now it has come such a long way that I do a lot of my 3D work in VR so that I can move quicker, faster, and really get a sense for the subtleties of a lot of these designs, especially because like I can work on them at like a micro level or a macro level, and then, you know, scale them. Well, let me get my brush a little bit bigger. Scale them up full size and look at them on like a macro level to like get a sense of like, what would this feel like sitting in the world? Oh, okay, it'd be like that big. You'd see all these cool detaily bits, and then get to look up and maybe there's some decals and stuff. So that's why VR is just nuts. Also, you can like put it up here. So I see that the base is a lot shorter and kind of stockier on mine, and this like drip thing is a lot bigger. But I think we're gonna go with this because I like the idea of having brushes, 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 brushes. I like the idea of having some kind of low-res blob right there, exactly. Some kind of like spout or dispenser. I know there's a cool piece, yeah, right here. Nope, that's the back of it. Something like that, but let's change the color. Make it, I want it to sit in there nicely. Okay, that's not bad. And then a funnel. Nope. Buttons not working with me today. I needed to stretch them out or warm them up a bit more or something. Nope, I don't like how that looked. We won't talk about it. Let's just get, there you go, some kind of lever. And then it's already mirrored, so that's pretty good. So now let's do a little bit of wizardry on this main form to get some cool extras. Oh, I was turned away from the screen because it's a physical object here in VR. So let me check what you guys have been saying. Yeah, unfortunately, the exported OBJ is quite trash, especially topology based. It's just like vertexes everywhere, but hey, what is really powerful for is that it does export some form of textures in UV so that you can, not perfect, but you can really work with it and get something workable out of it that can be put into like Substance or other things like that. I am building a water tower, like a silo, yeah. I have tilt brush, and it's more like a performance-based thing, it feels like, where it's just like you're drawing for fun and it's really like expressive and all that, but I haven't been able to like get tangible results for an environment out of it. But that's just me. Sculpt VR. Sculpt VR was pretty cool. I was like offered a little trial run of that. It like medium was so easy for me to jump onto. I've been using this software for probably close to 2 years. Yeah, pretty close to 2 years at this point. Sculpt VR is on Steam, and it's like, it feels like an Oculus type software. It doesn't have things like importing your own stamps and things like that kind of like were a big selling point. You can also import meshes in here, so that's very useful if you have existing 3D files or like photo scans and other fun things like that. But get back to what we were doing. You railed me a bit. So we're gonna create like a cool little offset piece here, so that there's something to look at. Okay, so we're gonna create two. Let's the first one down here, and it's just gonna be, make it a double. We're gonna switch to a plane, and then we're just gonna cut right around there. And then let's actually up-res it. It's just a little too chunky for me. So we're gonna smooth off that side, smooth off that side, smooth off that one, and you guessed it, that one again too. Coming down here, I'm not a fan of how that wasn't uniform, so let's just shore that up. Again, wasn't as uniform as I wanted it. Okay. So now we just want to get those. Very nice, very nice. And then this big one, we just want to turn off mirroring for a quick second. Cut it right in half. That'll do. And nope, that really doesn't suit it. Make it a gray for now. Okay. So I guess while we're at it, let's add a little modular piece. But before we do that, so masking in Medium is a funny thing. There's a special tool right here called the cut tool, which works as like a laser cutting thing. The problem with this tool, number one, is like I cut nothing and it's loading. Number two is that it goes on for like basically infinite. And so when you cut through something, you cut through all of the things. So it's not ideal. What I do is I duplicate and then erase. And then you have like your little junk. So that's something that's like, it's a workaround that's become very ingrained into my workflow, but it's something that like Gravity Sketch has like actual masking and selecting. Oh, sorry guys. My buttons are a little worn out on the Rift, so they don't like to press as eagerly as they used to. Alright, let's name this bad boy Silo. And then we can start working on a modular piece for that little antenna bit. What time is it? Okay, been about 23 minutes. So let's speed it up. This was the warm-up, so the next one should go a little bit faster. Okay, I like that. Let's clean up some of these edges. Yeah, my trigger buttons are not what they used to be. Alright, we just want to make this shape a little bit more concise. Off this top bit. And then we're going to shore up these sides once more. Okay. I like this piece. It really doesn't want to click things today. It is fighting with me at every stage. All right. I actually want this to be a bit farther over, but let's use the manipulate tools because we want exacts. We don't want wonky bits. Okay. Let's switch back to the line tool. Nope. Let's make it uniform. Too big. Just right. Yeah, cool. And let's jump back over to this one. So I'm keeping them separate, on separate layers so they don't mush into each other. That's Oculus Medium's biggest nemesis is mush and undefined edges. Maybe that's my biggest enemy, and Oculus Medium is just facilitating our battle, but we're gonna get there. Okay, we want a piece to link the two together. The buckle. And there's mush again, coming to stop us right when we were on stride. Okay, and then we're going to switch back to the square and inset it. Okay, now for the final touch, I'm gonna create a new layer, increase the res a little bit. The increase the res thing all could have been counteracted by just starting a bit bigger, but I wasn't sure how long this was going to go for. This one specifically. Okay, so what we're doing right here is adding some hanging wires. We just want them to feel just right. It's something. Okay, so clearly I'm gonna have to increase steady stroke. So this is like a guide that kind of like helps my hand not be shaky as hell. Real great, especially after like the third cup of coffee of the day. In here. And I still don't like it. Art. That's good enough. Okay. And let's package, you know what? We can have some cool little bits. Let's take off all these constraints. Let's finish that up. How do we want the, you know what, those are fine there. Boom, boom, boom. We got some silos. Very nice, very nice. Okay. call this? Greeble. That's probably not how you spell Greeble. Hueys? Hueys and Greeble? Who cares? Alright, we got Silo 01 and then Greeble. So let's throw Greeble into Silo and then we're done with one. So let's go ahead and move this bad boy up here. And let's just look how close we got. Pretty damn close. Alright, cool. This one's good to go. And we are like 30 minutes in. Let's check the chat. Sculpt VR on Oculus Quest. Very interesting. Did not know that Sculpt VR was on Quest. Have to check that out. Yeah, the layers are easily my favorite part, and I do believe they've increased it so that you can have 150 layers, which is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And I think that probably goes down with the size of each layer. You can't have like max size 150. Is that a fidget spinner brush? It was probably close. It's like a tri-gear, but like, oh, it's not gonna like that because we're out of our layer box. So there's like invisible layer boxes that like all my stuff needs to stay inside of. This is the Zenith fidget spinner. I'm gonna hate myself for making this. It should be like 5 minutes. Good. Okay. Very nice, very nice. There's one more aspect that it's oh no. They're on the same layer. I goofed. It's just because I literally know what I'm gonna do for this so quickly that I'm even attempting. You want. Yeah, because of hover technologies. Okay. Oh, straight line. And I know for a fact, just for a fact, that I have some of the crystals in my custom palette right here. Look at all this weird stuff. Doesn't want to load, but there it is. Okay, and we want it to use the stamps. Stamps color. Oh. I hate that I actually know how deep a fidget spinner is, and that it needs to be shallower. It's not perfect. Doesn't need to be. And there it is. I wouldn't recommend spinning it. Delete that and move on with all of our lives. So what Jessica was doing and what this is are very different. She was texturing inside of Substance, and I am sculpting inside of Oculus Medium. So these are very different kind of things. Oh, cannot focus on that currently. Let me back to you guys. Chat. Okay. So let's, for this one, I had a list of some of the things I wanted to accomplish, and I think, yeah, Rune Wall was right up there. So let's start cranking on that. This silo is throwing me off in space, so let's get rid of him currently. And start on Rune Wall. All right, let's go over to these rocks. We got some nice rocks. Grab that gray. Let's see, we want to make sure that our boundaries are in a good spot so we're not having to resize a bunch. That's too much, where it took a long time for the brush. And that's still, it's like my brush is really chugging. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. And then let's take a flat rock. That's good enough. And then let's start chipping off into this guy. So we want this one to be a wall of runes. Kind of like the Wailing Wall. No, not the Wailing Wall. What is the... In Washington, D.C., there's a wall of veterans that's like buried in the ground. Looks amazing. Cannot think of it, but taking some of the aesthetic from that, how the terrain cuts around it. Oh, we need more ground. All right. Like that, and then so the rock is gonna kind of fit into here. Take the move tool and kind of stretch it till we get some shapes that we kind of like here. And then round out back. Okay. So definitely is going to need a bigger area here. Get some nice grass color. So we can start telling the difference between one white thing and the other white thing. Got them nice grasses. And let's make the rock colored. Yes. Now we're moving in the right direction. Get some dirt color for the dirt. This is easy. Art is easy. Just kidding. And then now we got all these nasty little bits. So smooth it all out. This is way too steep of an incline, but oh yeah, it's gonna be pretty big. Let me find a little dude. Perfect. Man. Pop him in there. This is a previous sculpt that I did. Actually some early character stuff for Zenith. So we probably wanted it at about that scale, and then with some yep, you got it there, Ben. That's basically the whole ebb and flow of our lives. Concept, high poly, low poly, texturing in between, iterations at low poly, all that fun stuff. So, definitely gonna need, that's an R, some rune motifs. I apologize for that horrible beeping. It appears that somebody's trying to back up through my home currently. let's excuse that. Okay, so what we're looking for right now is my flat piece that we can add some glowy bits. So let's start with a nice blue essence color and get this all filled in. Actually just finish this all the way over here. Stick this stuff back inside because we don't need to see it yet. But it'll be right under the surface when we need it. And then we want to go to the material properties and make it emissive. Oh, and I earned new rewards for my Oculus home. My favorite place. Does anybody use their Oculus? Does anybody, yeah, I never even asked. How many of you guys own headsets here already that are or are not Quests or Rifts? Hopefully you guys already have your Rifts already, but I mean your Quests already. PSVR, very nice. That's what I started with. Love the PSVR. Trying to get these essence marks to line up. Oh dang, it looks like there's a wide selection of VR devices here in the chat. More index than I would have, 5 in index than I would have imagined. Very interesting now. Oh, and there goes the dogs. So the truck was in my front yard. Yeah, the VR headsets are slowly becoming more affordable and more widespread. It's awesome. It was a very different world in the VR community just even like a year ago, before the Quest really became so mainstream. It was like, you know, if you don't have a beefy computer, you're out of it. Or I guess get a PS4, which is exactly what I did to start. But it was before PSVR or PS Streams. I don't know what the exact title on that is, but I hear that you can do amazing things with the PSVR now with that. I guess I didn't wait long enough. But definitely cannot recommend VR enough. It just, especially if there's a way that you can incorporate it into your workflows, or if you're just using it for recreation, it's still such a great, it creates experiences instead of just like, you know, I play through so many games on the PC, and it's like, unless there's like a super emotional story, a lot don't stay with me. But I can still remember some of the first VR experiences I've ever had, like Lone Echo. Like, holy hell, such a great story and experience all rolled into one. And getting to play around with your floating body in 0G was just so great. Yeah, what are you guys' favorite VR titles currently out there, besides Zenith, of course? Adding a bit more grass so we can see the transition. And let's get back to sculpting out these ruins. Township Tale, VR chat, Beat Saber. Pavlov, that's an interesting one. Never heard Pavlov described as somebody's favorite so far. have to look into that more. So these rune marks are definitely not what we're gonna go with, I'm sure, because that would be a lot easier to do in 2D instead of having to carve these into the rocks into the right patterns. Yeah, PSVR is definitely limiting compared to like the amount of titles. Because they're saying something about Boneworks. What is that? Is that a song pack for Beat Saber? Because I see a Beat Saber Bonework. Is that a separate? Oh, so many chords here. Ooh, Super Hot is great. That was Super Hot and Gorn. Or those like they're those like underground kind of things that like at first I was like, this is so stupid. And 5 minutes in I was like, I'm an idiot. This is amazing. Should have bought those immediately. But I would say Gorn is not for everybody. Oh, Bonework is a separate game. Physics. That's interesting. Is that an index kind of thing? Or is that for Rift as well? Because, hey. 100% interactive physics world. Hey, Anarchist Simulator. Just wreck people's stuff. Don't know what kind of game it is, so it might not be that casual, but hey, definitely gonna check it out. So is it best for Index because of the level of interactivity and sensors and all that, or is it just built for Index and kind of ported to the other? Is that why it's preferred on there? Experimenting on your 3-year-old. It's pretty hardcore VR. There's like a lot happening outside, so hopefully it's not being transferred to Mike. All filled in. What time are we looking at? Oh, okay. We spent about 15 minutes on this rune wall. That's actually not horrible. How am I reading these while working? I'm a wizard. No, the Oculus lets you open up VR desktops inside the HUD that you guys aren't seeing because it's not being shown onto my desktop version, because it would be weird. So I have it's a big screen. Probably like a 10 to 15 foot screen floating in front of me with all you guys' chat. I'm using just a regular Rift, not a Rift S or a Quest, just a standard old Rift. I'm actually partial to the Rift because it's a lot lighter than some of these newer headsets. It's not as good, of course, but for what I use it for and longer play times. Yeah, it's like it is streaming with OBS. Yeah. And nobody said Emacs? What is that? Is that one of those new headsets that's like vaporware that's like, oh, it'll be so great, and it's not gonna. Alright. I'm not crazy about this shape actually. That's just my life. I'm not crazy about that. Still not crazy about it. But when I do feel crazy about it, then I'm done. Okay, let's get. Ooh, that looks kind of cool actually. So there's like some like shingling. Nope. Instantly did too much. Happening. It's not vaporwave. That was a joke. Oh. It's the biggest field of view put there, which is cool, but like, is field of view making it better? I mean, like, I feel like I'm wearing goggles now, but I'm still sculpting. Like, there's, I guess I'm not an accurate consumer. That's my view on a lot of things. I don't think most movies are for me. Most content, probably not, again, for me. So it's hard for me to voice opinions. Okay. Let's start to wrap up this one so we can make an alternate rune wall design because, you know, kind of limiting. This one needs a lot of terrain, kind of push into it. And so we should probably make a variant that's just considerably less dependent on the adjacent terrain. Just for sake of readability, let's bring down this. Just moss. Who doesn't love moss? A little bit. You know, moss would be around these openings too. Let's turn down more. Yeah, that's my point, Ben. Is like, even if it's better, if I can feel the weight like strapped to my face, it's like, I'll take the simpler, you know, shitty thing if I can just forget it's there after a while. Yeah, I agree with Skitly as well. Like, there's that Skitty. It's hard to read with this thing on. But yeah, if the immersion is good, the FOV, like, it, your brain like overcompensates for that kind of stuff. And it kind of like, if you forget about that compared to like I've never been in a game that I was really enjoying and go, no, this FOB is really like breaking the immersion for me. It's like, it definitely helps, but like it's not that deciding factor. I would agree. Colors probably more important than FOV. I don't. Again, I feel like I've never remarked that color was like breaking it for me. Um, yeah, it definitely does help. Yeah, like exactly. Like David makes another good point. Like even resolution, which is like such a huge factor, can really not be a factor in like fun and playability and things like that. Because like if your gameplay is really enjoyable and like you're immersed into the world, there's a lot of interactivity, so it doesn't feel like you're just watching a cutscene, but you're playing an experience. Like a lot of those little things can kind of like fall to the wayside. I mean, like in a long-term setting, yes, like the overall resolution, the FOV, the colors, like all that stuff is gonna be like what keeps you playing for like hours and hours and days and like months. But like for gameplay experiences, which like most VR apps at this time are not things you'd play for 100 hours, but closer to like probably 15 near the max. And so like a lot of those little things, like I would definitely prefer something with a crazy story and like really dynamic interactivity in the world than like it just be like super polished and look beautiful, because it's like I can get that other places. Yeah, FPS. That's like if there is bad FPS, you'll just get sick. You won't be able to deal with it. Like, so that's a good point. There are some things that cannot be overlooked. Ankle controllers for VR. I think the problem with that is that you could have them. I'm sure they exist, but not a single. Maybe VR chat. You know what? I'm pretty sure VR chat supports full mocap suits, which is nuts. But that's it. You'd be able to like really get into VR chat, and then like that's about it. I don't think any other like action games or RPGs support that kind of stuff right now. I mean, like I could be wrong. Throw a title out that has full body tracking as like a gameplay feature, I suppose. Like you can now kick the ball with the side of your foot. Like ho features. Okay. there is a sideways power sign. I don't know who said that, but it snuck in there subconsciously. Minecraft, does Minecraft let you put ankle trackers? That seems like the game that totally would, right? We're all on the same page. That's a crucial element to Minecraft. You got to be able to kick the blocks. Minecraft in VR was one of those games that I was like, oh, that'll be so cool. And then I was like, oh, this game is just so considerably harder when you're not an omnipotent like God controlling this man, but you are the man. It's like, oh, damn, all these blocks I have to jump up. All these trees I have to punch, damn it. But I might just be lazy. That's probably the definition of lazy. If I'm like, oh, this video game is too much work, probably should readdress my priorities in life. No Man's Sky is VR yet. Highly recommend it. But again, I think it suffers from that exact same problem that Minecraft does, where it's like, wow, this game is so cool. And then you're like, oh, wait, I have to break every single block by holding my gun, letting the laser do its thing. It's like, ooh. But flying your spaceship in No Man's Sky, ooh, such a good experience. So, and you can play on your pancake saves. Okay, at this point, we got the rune wallets. Needs a bit more TLC over here to make it kind of a more individual thing. Ready Player One has full body tracking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a movie, right? So not a game? Because I saw the movie. There's a game for it. Please show me, but that feels derivative of a derivative at that point. Just make the reef or whatever they were calling it instead of making a game about it. Any sort of gathering in VR makes me want to quit. Yeah, that's basically my point. Gathering in VR is not fun. Like, I don't know about you guys. Somebody said they liked Township Tale as one of their favorite. I love Township Tale until I did the tutorial. God damn, can I not cut a tree? And that was like shoved down my throat. Like, clearly I have terrible form as a lumberjack. I get it. But can we just progress? Oasis beta. Oh, the Oasis. What did I call it? The reef. It's a water thing. We all know what they're going for. Alright, we're just trying to clean up some of this. So this will be predominantly used to just block terrain, so that there are some areas that we cannot show. Just getting that rocky texture back in, and we really got to move on. Let's see what's on the list. Oh, we got We got some smaller POI stuff, so that should be pretty quick. So we got training dummies on the list. We got some kind of like encampment or a tent. Yeah, I got the axe swing thing with the 2 hands, and it's not about speed, it's about like your form. You have to like really like build up the hit, but like damn was I bad at it. Oh, the hammock. That's probably something we can knock out. All right, let me just get a bit more on this transition and let's move on. Just a little bit of differentiation. We don't want these to just be flat. I really enjoy painting in VR. It's not the best. Can't control your brush size or your tip, but like, is it fun? Just be able to like zoom in and be like, oh, okay, let me just right here do this. VR really offers amazing control and freedom, and that's why I recommend it. Oculus Medium does have a really cool feature called Studio Share, where you can invite other people and like work with them and all that, but unfortunately it has never worked, not as long as I've been using Oculus Medium. You can see somebody's avatar, but that's about it. They can't see you, they can't do anything. You can just see them loading and then it stops loading. Quality, but maybe one day. Okay, we got a rune wall. Let's group all this stuff. Tesla suit. Oh yeah, so it doesn't feel like Tony Stark with like the holographic screens. That would be like closer to AR, but like holy hell, me and my friends have like long conversations about how like, you know, because we all love sci-fi, and we talk about all this like crazy sci-fi stuff that we want to see in the world. But then one of us will go, hey, aren't you guys all saying that with like VR devices strapped on your head, and we're like wirelessly talking? It feels like we're all in the same room. It's like we're there. Like sci-fi is here. It's just we've normalized it so much that it's just like, oh, it's just, oh, you're VR sculpting, okay. But it's like, try to explain that concept to somebody who was using clay like 10 years ago, and they'd be like, you're a wizard, get out. Like, this isn't art, this is computering. Like, it doesn't even trying to explain it to people now when they're living in 2019, a lot of them just go, I don't get it, can you show me? And I can. So definitely a weird place to be in. 'Cause it feels like riding the cutting edge. But you know, sometimes Oculus is real fun about pushing updates that stop functionality of things. So you know, sometimes it's like your wave breaks and you get thrown into the shore. Okay, let's call this rune wall. Let's move it. Yeah, it can stay in the origin. Yeah, I've seen a lot of early adopters to like VR meetings and things like that. But it's definitely, it feels like VR isn't quite there. It's like in that weird in-between stage right now where it's like, it's almost like fully integrated into like a productive way, but like a lot of it is still very focused on entertainment and relaxation and games and things like that, which is like, of course, like that's what it's all for. That's what we're all doing with it. But it feels like it hasn't totally made that jump to like, oh, this is a viable technology that can be used in non-entertainment ways, at least to like the general public. Because trying to explain to somebody that I'm not playing games, I'm like sculpting to create assets, goes over most people's heads. And not by like, oh, I barely get that. It's like, I don't get it. So that's been interesting, but it's not a deterrent. I think it's just funny. Okay, cool. So let's do, yeah, eBay was full of quests, going for like double, almost triple full prices. Pretty nuts. It's a great analogy. The Oculus Quest is like a Turbo Man doll. Yep. I would say at this point, honestly, like, if you're getting it for a kid, maybe print out a picture, but if not, just wait. Just totally wait. Yeah, try explaining VR sculpting to somebody in the Renaissance will totally just get you burned at the stake. Like, there's no other outcome. Probably trying to explain anything. Just even the concept of Netflix would probably get you torched. Yeah, we live in such a cushy golden age that it's like, it's just so great. Just the amount of like information available on the internet is just mind-boggling, and what you can do with it. You can learn almost any skill set to some degree of competency at this day and age. You know, you can't like become an astrophysicist via YouTube, but like, you know what? Excuse me. I take that back because I would love to see somebody try, like, burst into NASA one day and be like, "You guys are all wrong. YouTube showed me the light. We're gonna go to the moon with silly string," or like Tide Pods, like some other ridiculousness. But you know, that's probably not gonna happen. We could hope. Okay, so for this rune wall, I want it to be more like a stack of rocks made up into a wall. So we're not quite there yet. Checking out the chat. So it's definitely I agree with you, Ben. It wasn't me giving my mom the headset because she would have been like, "What is Fallout?" But when I first played Fallout 4 VR, I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is like being able to play a full like AAA game in VR with like not 10 hours of content, but hundreds of hours of content." Was like, "Oh, okay. I see it. If somebody wants to like do this, like, and really dedicate creating a game at this scale, like, it's almost possible." It's not quite there yet. Like, I think if they like, you know, made Fallout 4 VR game from the start, it probably would have taken double the time instead of like creating Fallout 4 and then creating a VR version. I don't think they're at the point to create like a full scale RPG with like hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, like a single player experience yet. But like God, I hope I'm wrong. Let's get like full-fledged AAA VR games in here. I think it's just the user base is very limiting. It'll change. It'll get there. But it's like, you know, the amount of people who have a computer compared to the amount of people who have a computer that can run a VR device and then have said VR devices like increment or not increment. It's a lot smaller. Yeah. They did redesign some of the gameplay systems. Like VATS works very differently, as well as just moving in general kind of work very differently. But yeah, I mean, like they ported all the content over. It was just redesigning some systems that would allow you to work around that. I don't know if VR will affect the number of humans on the planet. You know, that would be like on the extreme, is that we become so reclusive that like that like what is it, child rate or like childbirth rates go like astronomical. Like we're gonna Japan ourselves, is that what the question was? I don't think, like, maybe give it 200 years. Oh, now the questions are coming in. Yeah, I could see, you know, VR coming into like a more mainstream of how games are now. I don't think it'll ever be that mainstream where there's like just ridiculous games out there that don't really make sense. They're just more made to like make them. I think, you know, VR is a very intentional medium because it can have, you know, like very little or very rarely do you play a game and then go, oh Jesus, this is making me sick, and like turn off your screen. But like if done wrong in VR, you can make somebody like violently ill very quickly. In like the first 5 minutes, you can really give them a poor experience. And so I think there definitely has to be not like VR police, but quality standards. Because I think if VR games were as unregulated as regular games, it would be very almost scary to try VR. Not scary. That seems so like weak. But I think there's a lot of factors to a VR game that don't quite translate perfectly from a pancake game. Because I think games like, oh yeah, I did see somebody asking if Fallout or Skyrim. So me and my friend also had this conversation literally last night or the night before. He loves Skyrim and I love Fallout. He played Fallout 4 VR first and he was like, this is the best shit. And then not even a week later, he had gotten Skyrim VR and he was like, well, this is way better. So I think if you liked Skyrim more, get Skyrim VR. But if you liked Fallout more, get like Fallout VR. It's not going to be the quality or the like how old the game is that's like going to make it. It's like, do you love the world of Skyrim and like, you know, medieval settings and things like that, mountains, or do you like post-apocalyptic Fallout stuff? Like I loved the Astropunk or Atom Punk, not Astro. Atom Punk motif of Fallout. I always have. And I really loved Fallout VR. Settlement building was great. But I think it's a game that not everybody could play. I think you can get ridiculously sick. Like Thomas More said, Fallout VR was the first game to make me sick. Like there's so much that game, and there's so much like traveling and all things like that. Like it can be way too much for somebody. So I think it's like games like that are just not ready yet for VR. Subnautica is a great example. I had so much fun in Subnautica VR, but it's because I wanted it to. I hated my little menu being like eye strain. I had to close one eye just to play that game, but I really muscled through it because it was such a great experience. But that's another game that's like, there's so much content to it. I need to keep track of time. Okay, we're doing good. There's so much content to it, but it really is limited by those kind of comfort things. The kind of things that you can't plan for in a 2D game. Like, nobody was like sitting down playing Subnautica. I mean, I guess if you're really sensitive to things like that, you could probably sit down on Subnautica, spin around a bunch on PC, and like make yourself somewhat uncomfortable. But like I think it was Thomas was saying, or no, Ben said he gave Subnautica a chance, and 5 minutes into it he was like, nope. And it's just, you know, that's VR. It's going to be insanely hit or miss, and those first few minutes are going to be such defining moments for a user that, like, I think games can be overlooked ridiculously easy because of, you know, poor experience. Like, if a game makes you physically ill, the chances that you're going to pick it up and be like, well, it was such a good game, are like so low. So it's like, it's just not there quite yet. And like, there's a lot of like comfort settings and things like that, but nobody likes like virtual roll cages and teleporting. Like, nothing kills an immersion more than popping all over the wasteland. Just like, boop, 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 I'm here, take me, ghoul. So I don't know. I think VR feels almost as niche as competitive gaming, just in like a very, very different way. Where, like, you know, I would say the average gamer doesn't know many professional gaming teams, as with the average gamer also doesn't know many VR titles. It's just not quite widespread enough, even though it probably will be. Oh, the chat. Yeah, Subnautica's inventory definitely induces eye bleed. That's very valid. Robinson, I heard great things about Robinson, but that was one that was very high for the price point, and it felt like more of a cinematic than an actual game. Yep, and I agree with that. You know, having the headset on anything more than a regular Rift is kind of like chunky, and so it's just like you can feel it on your face. Yeah, I heard the bow and arrow in Skyrim is the big selling point. My friend said he wasn't sold on sword combat, but he said like any like projectiles and things like that. I think he had some fun with magic as well. That stuff like that was really great. But what feels best to me in VR is guns right now. Guns are just like really well done, where it feels really satisfying to just like blam, 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 especially with some form of aim assist or slow motion, which like Fallout has with its VATS. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I'm so bad at shooters, but like it's really like Sirento, I think, has executed gun combat just exceptionally well, where like I find myself returning to that game just to like snipe people in midair. Like, that's my shit. Yeah, what's your guys' favorite gun combat game? There's that new one, Pistol Whipped or something like that. That's supposed to be like Beat Saber plus Super Hot, but like when they advertise things like that, it's normally impossible to beat those two things together. So I didn't have super high hopes, and I haven't heard great things. But I would like to. Oh, Boneworks has best guns. Oh shit. And it makes a joke about teleporting location or locomotion. Like, I need to try Boneworks. It seems like my kind of game. What an imperfect sack of rocks. Definitely got to check that out. Yeah, that's what I remember. The Skyrim magic, you could just spray it. So is Boneworks really not? Yeah, I've never played Boneworks, but it's not like Rift conducive. Like the Rift is gonna struggle with it, or is it not on like the Oculus store? Because I haven't even seen an ad for it, and it feels like I should have. Oh, it's the same shape. Would you just look at that? Okay, we got about 40 minutes left, so let's make it count. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely try that through Steam VR. But I don't need like what is that, like the, oh, I guess that's for the index to Rift. There's like the re-Rift or recore or whatever it's called. Carving these shapes out is not simple here. Revive, that's what it is. Thank you. Of course it is, and it's for the 5, not the index. Right, unless those are the same. You can see how inexperienced I am with anything that's not Oculus. When it works, it works. It's hard to switch off with like very little free time and be like, let me learn a whole new skill set here real quick. Bust this out. Okay, let's get res. Is that somebody, or is that something people actually do? They like counterweight their headsets so that it pulls you back a little bit.
Yep. I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while.
Surely it's drone tractor time. I mean, surely. It's funny because like it was very tempting not to right after that stream jump into Medium and just whip up a drone tractor, because this is definitely my like program of choice. Oh, this is too high res. And I would absolutely jump on the drone tractor, except I'm just trying to get to a few more usable concepts because I will not be in it won't be available next week. Gonna vacation, and by vacation recoup my creative juices. Yeah, I was definitely going for that more like natural rune aesthetic, but it's something that like for specific details like that, I would create like the shape in 2D, and then we'd apply it as like a texture. Or in these cases, it would probably be like kind of normal map that cuts them in or something like that. Okay, copy those and bring it over. Yeah, okay. We good, we good. I'm gonna make this stuff emissive. Gotta get the glowy bits. How will anybody know it's important if it's not glowy? Ignore this. And this. Oh, that's definitely interesting. I might have to try the counterweights because, like, I definitely noticed that Quest feels considerably heavier than the Rift, and because of that, definitely like the imprints on my face are way more noticeable when I am done with a sculpting session. Like, there's like more pressure on my forehead, everything. It's just not like, I love the Quest. I think it's the coolest thing. Being able to sculpt something with Gravity Sketch and then just plug it in and jump over to Medium with the same sculpt is just pretty nuts. But it's heavier, which of course, it's a standalone VR headset. If it wasn't heavier, there'd probably be full of dark magic. Because that's the only other way they're gonna increase anything. But yeah, counterweights are something I'm gonna look into. Yeah, I mean, I don't do anything more than just sculpt. I don't think I could use like a heavier headset and do active games. Okay. Getting a bit distracted here. It's late in the week, so it's tired. Trying to keep up focus. Let me lighten the room. Actually, it's like so dark that it's like giving me sleepy vibes now with this chill music. I can feel like my eyes getting heavier being in here. Oh, too bright. What to do? Yeah, that feels more like daytime. Yeah, so that was the other thing, is I could definitely replicate the shape, shrink it down, and just color it blue. But because of the insets, those would be inset as well. I could have duplicated it at the beginning, and that would have done it. Merge these two. At all. All right. I want to get one more variant out. Oh, of course, it's the wrong color.
I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel.
All right, this will be almost more like a singular essence stone. It does not want to change my brush today. Must be the controller sticking really hard. Grease. Alright, so we want, ooh, this is a first little alcove. Okay, we want to get this to a place that it can be slammed in the ground and have plenty of room for ruins on them. Probably should have eaten lunch before this stream. My stomach is not thrilled, but we're gonna persevere. Okay. Gotta get this top thinned out. Right across it. Grab my boot brush. Yeah, all the ref in the background I don't think is super high res. You guys should be able to peek at it, but not glean too much. A little teaser bit. That was just in case we were going to get to more architectural pieces. Clean this up. And let's get oh, there we go. Chop this up. Doesn't like the resolution that I'm going at. Probably doesn't like the stream going at the same time too. But it can deal. Not like we're sculpting anything besides rocks. It'd be fine. Alright. So for this one, let's just... Oh, I wish I just had some shapes. So let's just use some hard edge stuff. Reset my tool. Okay. Like branding rocks. I didn't like that. Super secret, don't look, no. Ooh, that sounds fun. We should do like a concept and then I can judge it and then implement it, maybe refine it a bit so that it fits within the world of Zenith, but that sounds pretty cool. I'll definitely pass that idea along and see what we can do, because that sounds like really interesting community engagement. We'll like set a it's a fish. You guys love essence fish. Yeah, we can set like a topic and you guys can have some fun with it. We'll probably keep it to a smaller thing, but I think you guys could come up with cool ideas. Better than essence fidget spinner for sure. Which thank God we already deleted it. It's gone. Doesn't exist. Not canon. Oh, excuse me. Telemarketers. Alright, so for this one, still should have made the copy before, but except the holes. Okay. And let's get our trusty blue. Look at all that blue. There's blue everywhere. More blue than I know what to do. Okay, just kidding. We're gonna just delete it all. So what I want for this, something probably like that. Where it's on the ground, it's kind of sticking out. Crank on our last sculpt here. So I think we have a little bit more flexibility for that one. So we could do did want to cover can't really do that on stream. Let's look at the list. We got training dummy, cyber cows did float. Would it be easier or impossible to tip them? Ooh, well they would definitely have like anti-gravity stabilizers, so you could probably push them pretty easily, but to tip them, I would like to think that if we could make cows fly, we could keep them upright. But you know, I really think it would be funny to like see a field of tipped over flying cows. Like that would really make my day. So let's say that it's possible. Now, I don't think Zenith has flying cows. That's not what we're saying here. I'm just saying that if a flying cow were to exist, I would also like the possibility to exist that you can tip it over. That's all I'm saying. Elon Musk, if you're gonna get on that soon, maybe. Like, it might be a better time than SpaceX, but hey, that's just me, Flying Cow Nation. Okay. Well, let's cut off this nasty stuff below and then move ourselves right along. Oh, I don't believe it the blue ground. Oh, I guess the ground needs a bit of this. This is just really rough, just so that we have some ideas. Okay. Remote hack the hover module to rotate 90 degrees. That is like, why isn't that a sci-fi skit? Just like a hacker doing some cow tipping real quick. I don't know how that would inconvenience the farmer, because like he would just reset the programming and it would just reset the cows, but for texture passes, I do that in Photoshop, so I'm not going to paint full textures on here. But that's a good suggestion. Okay, so we wanted the training dummy, the easiest way to go about that, and not make this look like just a run-of-the-mill training dummy. Get all our snaps. Stuff together. Find the origin point, wherever that might be. I believe it's here. Oh, it's because our tool has been... Oh, our tool has been really messed up. Okay, there we go. We're back to normal. Cyber cows just like charge your batteries. It's not about milk anymore. Milk is just a waste product. We just throw that out. It's all about them cyber batteries. There's just like battery acid, actually. This is a weird aspect to think about. If there were cyber cows, what would their functionality be? Instead of cyber cows, let's just talk about the cows that wear VR headsets. That's more my speed. Make the milk better, or is it just a sick game? Show them freedom that they'll never have. Possible to try to get this straight with no orientation. Okay. And then, because this sci-fi training done. Be cow VR esports. You know, I'd bet you on that one that there won't be. And if there are, it's probably my time to opt out. I don't know how I'd feel about living in a world with cow VR esports. I mean, definitely entertained. That world is a world that has too much entertainment. But yeah. Hamlet, a cigar called happiness. Poker Stars VR allows you to buy a mini cow and throw it at people. Well, that's a game right there. But you have to, like, buy it with poker points, though, or whatever the currency. I guess it's dollars. Not poker points. That feels too simplified. So I want these to, like, look like they're hanging off something, but it's really not adding to the aesthetic that I wanted. So now they won't be. They're just going to be grafted on. And that's art. You try, and then you fail, and then you try, and then it still looks bad, and then you try again, and then maybe it's probably still going to look bad. It's at least less frustrating than failing at drawing, because this is just inherently entertaining. Okay. So we definitely want it to feel more sci-fi. Maybe there's like targets at the end. Ooh, or, hey. Okay, so we want to take this. And then we want to cut them. Very nice, very nice. And then, so here's the really cool part of Oculus Medium. You just go to Actions, Stamp, and now this is my brush. So we just created this little warning sign that we are going to use as a target. Oh. And so now I feel like this one's too low, which is like, isn't that fun? All right, we got about 15 minutes, so let's crank on this. Smooth this back down. Nobody will, oh, there's a bump. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, that looks good. Up. Over a bit. Want this to have this connector. All right, all right. So things like that would definitely be applied. Ben asked if we apply weathering details like dents and nicks at this stage, or if that's like in the normals and texturing step. So if it was going to be part of the design, like maybe it's been like completely punched in at one part, that would be something I address in the sculpting. But since this is going to be a reusable asset, we want damages to be downplayed so that they're not easily identifiable in each variant. So say there's like 10 of these in the world. If each have that same big old punch, either one dude is on a vendetta to ruin them all, or it creates a look that's very recognizable as a modular asset. So we want to avoid that. So small details will be done in texturing, and they'll be more procedural and tileable, so that they don't always end up in the same spot, or even if they do, they are not super recognizable. Okay, so I do like the idea of this being like a hover thing, but at the same time, some legs would be cool too. Okay. We're low on time, so let's just go with a base at this point. Get back to angle snapping. And we want to go back to mirroring. Okay, so our mirror is on a fun side. So it's going to mirror it top and bottom. We don't need that anymore. We do need for this angle snap to work with us. Like, we can adjust it after. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Glad you like that vendetta joke. Just like one really pissed off boxer who hates his brand of punching bags. Just goes around the town ruining them all for everybody. So here's another instance of that on layer duplicating, masking kind of thing. Just to have this part removed. Because I'm not crazy about this base. So I think just want a solo kind of thing. Simple. Connector piece. It might have been the same piece. All right, so we got that. I want to make it a bit bulkier. Go over that. I see. We're not snapping to the right angle anymore. At this point, we can take them off. Yeah. And then similar to how we did that silo. Oh. The bounds are not centered, so we want to first center our bounds. And once we do that, we want to go ahead and chop it. Probably cut it right there. Let's get 2 strips. A small screen with a DPS counter. So we have already kind of mocked up a communication device. Not finalized if that's the direction we're going to go with UI, but it's definitely something we're considering. Okay, 10 more minutes, guys. Let's wrap up this design. And then look back at everything we've created. Get this. I wanted red. I'm going to grab it from over there. There we go. And then a black. Okay. Oh, that's cool. A small screen on the target dummy. I actually like that a lot. We got 10 minutes. Let's see what we can do with that. Actually, just trying to get this little notch down below. Okay, so I think the best way to pull off that kind of motif I wanted to have almost like a little antenna, and then your DPS stats would be floating, and that way it can kind of like pivot wherever you're attacking it. But my angle snap not determining this is an appropriate angle. Got 8 minutes, 8 minutes. Cool. Then let's get something to do we want like a bar and make it more like a flag, or should it be more holographic? No, I don't. It needs to be simpler. Yeah, it's 100% easier to work without talking, because I'm trying to consciously keep the stream a little bit more entertaining. So it's like always a back thought. It's like, hey, you haven't said anything in a bit, because when I am working, I am silent, and I often fall into something called flow state. Happens more at night, where distractions are really limited. but it's it's kind of like a state of mind where you completely lose track of the outside world, and you really like hyper focus on what you're doing, and it gives me a really strong sense of satisfaction. Normally after, so it'll be like I'm working after that 3 hour mark. I can hit flow state if I haven't been interrupted, and things just start to really fly. But it's a double-edged sword. As great as that is, there's like prime hours of the day for collaborative work. So I tend to not be able to achieve that too often. All right, we got like 5 minutes. This top is not perfectly even anymore because we took off our angle snaps because they weren't working with us. So I do believe there are symbols. Nope, there are numbers. Boom. Oh no. The lag, it knows the stream's ending. Well, I apologize for any choppiness that might come out. My internet is regulated through the development I currently live at, and in Florida we have this wonderful sensation called snowbirds, which is everybody coming from up north to escape the cold. And so things are a little bit busier, internet traffic is a little bit higher, connectivity is a little bit lower. What a wonderful time of the year. Okay, so yeah, there we go. We got a nice target dummy. Oh, I think it has some overlap on this side. Let's address that in our last 4 minutes. And look back over everything we have done. We want to group all these lovely layers together. All right, let's turn everything on. We got 5 things. Okay, so we got... Don't you gotta love that everything is in a different direction? Okay, wait. Before we start making this all wonky, got 3 minutes. So we got silo, that big. Then we got rune wall. Very nice. Let's put him here. We got rune wall 2, which should be like more like an actual wall. Put him in there. And then we got rune rock. Put him here. We got those. We got the punching machine. The punching machine looks very bland right now. Could definitely use some texture. Just we don't have much time. We got like 2 minutes. But it was really awesome hanging out with you guys. Very fun chatting. You guys gave some excellent suggestions and different things. I think we could definitely implement some kind of creator contest. That would be really fun. Have me art direct you guys to create something for the game. Definitely see if that's a feasible thing. But yeah, just trying to add a tiny bit of texture to this thing because it looks kind of ugly being so plain. But yeah, you can already start to get a sense of what it might look like with a bit of texturing and a bit of wear. But glad you guys are eager for Zenith. We are too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's amalgam of a lot of different tastes and passions and hard work all the way around. I'm glad you guys had a good time. That's all we've got to. A decent amount of work. Great starting points on all these different things. This is even removable. So you got 2 different variants. Oh no, too low res, dang. Well, I will post screenshots and maybe even a turnaround of these guys on the Zenith Discord for you guys to check out. So please check there. I would love to increase the res. I can just zoom in on everything. Oh, and there's the timer to say stop. Yeah, so let's see how many polys this is. At 100%, we're looking at a cool 14.8 million, which will be exported to about 1.5 probably. Yeah, hope you guys had a great time. It was really fun sculpting along with you guys. Highly recommend Oculus Medium and get a VR headset. Happy Christmas, and hope you guys have a great holiday. Yeah. Post any reactions or anything in the Discord, and hope to do another one of these sessions with you guys again soon. Bye all. And let's cut that stream. See you guys.